Okay, so here are our rules. We've got all the different types that we need to go through and talk about what they are. Let's see if you can tell me what to do for each one of these. If we are multiplying like bases, what do we do with their exponents? Just say it out loud, guys. Add them. So it's going to be a to the x plus y. You are going to add the exponents when you multiply like bases. Add the exponents when you multiply like bases. Okay. On the next one, when you're dealing with division, what do you do with the exponents when you divide? Subtract them. So it's going to be a to the x minus y. A to the x minus y. Okay, next one. Okay. If you have power on power, what are you going to be doing when it's power on power? Multiplying. You're going to multiply those. Okay, so come on. Account for what? But yeah, here. And then just bring it back. Okay, good. How are you? Good. There you go. I appreciate that. You're welcome. Okay, here we go. So we said power on power, you are going to multiply. So to do this, you're going to do a to the x times y, which you can write just as xy, or you can put the, guys, variables, when you put them next to each other, should mean multiplication. You don't need a sign in between them. Okay? For the next one, this is distributing a power. If you have a product and you have a power on the outside, you have to distribute it to everything that is in here. So this would be a to the x and b to the x. That rule applies when it is a sorry, I don't know what that is on my watch. I don't even know what that couldn't have been for me because that's not even to me. That's weird. I think that's one of y'all's messages. It's picking up all kind of weird things. It's been strange lately, guys. So this is a to the x over b to the x. When you have a quotient, or guys, if you have a fraction, division, however you want to think of it, when you have a quotient, if you have a power on the outside, it's got to be distributed to all of them. Okay, what if you have a negative power? What do you do to what's on the inside?
Flip it.
Flip it. That's the time you flip it. You're going to make it b over a, and it's going to be raised to the x power. The first thing you do is flip it, change it to a positive on the outside. Then you distribute it to both of them, so it'd be b to the x over a to the x. B to the x over a to the x. Okay, guys, any number other than 0 raised to the 0 power, any number raised to the 0 power that's not a 0 already is going to be what? 1. 1. Okay, guys, what does a negative exponent do? It moves it from wherever it is to the opposite side. So you put a 1 underneath it, you draw your new fraction bar, you move it to the bottom in this case because it's on the top in this case. You move it to the bottom and you change it to a positive exponent and you put a placeholder of 1 on top. Now, listen, what's the only time you're going to have negative exponents on your tests? Scientific notation. Thank you. The last one, guys, we did this when we did our calculators. We set these up. This top one is going to be your power. The outside one is going to be your root. I like to put that on there so you remember what those are. This is the power. This is the root. So when you set this up in a radical, because that's what root means, you're going to put the a on the inside. It's going to have a power of x. This shows up a lot in Algebra 2, guys. I'm going to keep showing you this because you do a lot more with these with different roots, 5th roots, 4th roots, lots of different roots, not just square roots. So got to build up to that. And then that root out here of y is going to go out here. That could be the 3rd root, the 4th root. It could be any number. That y represent what root it is. That means how many times that you'd be multiplying something by itself. So, for example, if you took something like 8 and you took it to the 3rd root, you're trying to find out what number gets multiplied 3 times to give you 8, which, guys, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So the third root of 8 is 2. Okay? Just like the square root of 4 is what? 2, because 2 times 2 is 4. Yep. Yep. Roots are always right there. Just like in the square roots, it goes there. It's just when you write a square root symbol, a radical, you don't have to write the 2 there, because just like when we talk about x, always has a 1 in front of it, always has a 1 underneath it, always has a 1 on it, on the exponent, but we don't write any of that. Radicals are always assumed to have a 2 right here to be a square root, unless you write a different number there. We get into a lot of that. Now, we don't get into a lot of the powers that are bigger, but we do get into some of it. Like I said, that's more of an Algebra 2 thing. There's some the basics, yeah, basics. Like we've been talking about. But that's more, we talked about, we do more of this on calculator. Remember? We type them in with the power as a fraction.